Sarah had always been passionate about graphic design. She loved creating unique designs, bringing ideas to life with a few strokes of a pen on her tablet. But something was missing. She was stuck in a small, uninspiring job at a local marketing firm. The work wasn't bad, but it wasn't her dream either. She longed for more, bigger projects, a creative team to collaborate with, and the chance to design for well-known brands. But there was one thing holding her back: fear. Sarah had always been a cautious person. She avoided risks and played it safe, content in the comfort of what she knew. But that comfort had become a cage. The work felt repetitive, the office environment stifling. Deep down, Sarah knew she had more potential, but the thought of stepping into the unknown terrified her. She feared the idea of failure. What if she wasn't good enough? What if she wasn't cut out for something bigger? These questions haunted her every time she thought about pursuing her dream. One day, Sarah received an unexpected offer that could change everything. A prestigious design agency had contacted her, impressed by her portfolio. They wanted her to join their team. The job was everything she had ever dreamed of: the opportunity to work with global brands, push her creative boundaries, and grow as a designer. But there was a catch: the job required her to relocate to a different city, away from her family and friends, away from everything familiar. For days, Sarah was torn. She tried to reason with herself, thinking about all the things she could gain. But then, fear crept in. What if the new job wasn't as great as she imagined? What if she couldn't live up to their expectations? What if the city wasn't the right fit, and she felt even more alone? Every worst-case scenario played in her mind, and the fear of the unknown paralyzed her. Her friends and family noticed Sarah's hesitation. They encouraged her to take the leap, to follow her passion and seize the opportunity. But the more they spoke, the more her anxiety grew. It wasn't that she didn't want the job, she did. It was the fear of failure, of making a decision that could lead to regret. Her heart told her to go for it, to take the risk, but her mind was overwhelmed with doubt. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah found herself caught in a vicious cycle. She would tell herself to take the chance, to push through the fear. But each time she thought about the big move, the fear returned, stronger than before. She became paralyzed, unable to make a decision. Every time she tried to take action, fear stopped her. It felt easier to stay in her safe, predictable life, even if it meant sacrificing her dreams. But deep down, Sarah knew she couldn't continue living this way. She had always been afraid of taking risks, but this time was different. The fear of staying in the same place forever was starting to outweigh the fear of change. She was facing the biggest decision of her life, and she realized that if she didn't act soon, she might never have another chance like this again. It was the moment when she had to decide: would she let fear control her, or would she take that first bold step into the unknown? The turning point came one quiet evening when Sarah sat alone in her small apartment, staring out at the city lights. The weight of indecision had been wearing her down, and the fear was no longer just a whisper in the back of her mind, it had become a constant, suffocating presence. But that night, something shifted. She realized that if she didn't act now, she would always be stuck in the same place, watching her dreams slip away. The fear was never going to go away. But if she allowed it to control her, she would never move forward. In that moment, Sarah made a decision. She was going to take the leap, no matter how terrifying it was. The next morning, she called the design agency and accepted the job offer. As soon as the words left her mouth, a wave of anxiety washed over her. She was scared. She was uncertain. But she was also proud. For the first time in her life, Sarah had chosen to face her fears head-on, rather than letting them dictate her actions. The fear didn't disappear, but it no longer held power over her. She packed up her life and moved to the new city, stepping into the unknown with a mixture of excitement and dread. At first, the adjustment was tough. The city was bigger than she had imagined, and she felt out of place. The new job was challenging, and there were moments when Sarah doubted her abilities. She made mistakes, missed deadlines, and struggled to keep up with the fast-paced environment. The fear that had once paralyzed her crept back into her thoughts. What if they made a mistake hiring me? What if I can't handle the pressure? But instead of succumbing to those fears, Sarah decided to lean into them. She realized that each mistake was an opportunity to learn and grow. She sought feedback from her colleagues, asking for advice and working hard to improve. Slowly but surely, the fears that had once held her back began to fade. She was no longer afraid of failure, because she understood that failure wasn't the end, it was part of the journey. Each failure was a step closer to success. As time passed, Sarah's confidence grew. She found herself taking on more challenging projects, pushing the limits of her creativity. The same fear that had once paralyzed her now fueled her determination to do better, to prove to herself that she was capable. Her designs began to stand out, and she earned the respect of her team and clients. She had become the designer she always dreamed of being, and it felt even better than she had imagined. One day, after several months in her new role, Sarah found herself looking back on her journey. She realized that the decision to face her fear and take the bold step had been the best decision of her life. If she had stayed in her old job, stuck in her comfort zone, she would have never discovered what she was truly capable of. The fear she had once dreaded had transformed into a source of strength. It was no longer something to avoid, it was something to embrace. Sarah smiled as she thought about how far she had come. She had faced the fear that once controlled her, and in doing so, she had unlocked a new version of herself.